Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. As I've been going through all the Wallace and Gromit stuff as this kind of little series here in January, I've now come to the Wallace and Gromit's first feature film, which seems like a big culmination for both the series and Aardman as a whole. This is Aardman's second feature film. Their first one was Chicken Run, which I previously reviewed, which was very beloved. And then they made this one. This is kind of interesting because it is very different in a lot of ways than most of what we've seen from Wallace and Gromit. There's a lot more talking. It's obviously like a movie. But it also feels very much like post a close shave Wallace and Gromit and less of the one my favorite short, which is The Wrong Trousers. Because, you have much more of Wallace having a love interest. You have someone with the love interest who's kind of his antagonist. Certain similarities, I'd say, as well as like the whole plot of the movie, which is, Wallace and Gromit again have a different job, each property, I guess. This one, they are vermin inspectors. I guess it's like pesto is what it's called. And they're trying to get rid of the rabbits because there's a big vegetable competition in their town. There's all these people now. Apparently there's more than just Wallace and Gromit. And Wallace decides to make a scientific thing, which of course he always has to. He also has to invent something. He likes being an inventor, and he's going to change the nature of the bunnies. And if he changes the nature of the bunnies to not like vegetables, then they will leave the vegetables alone, and he uses his own brain. Of course, this is both a werewolf parody and a parody of The Fly at the same time, which is, pretty inventive. I noticed it's like when reading that, but when they made their first short, they wanted to reference all this stuff. It's interesting because they do that a lot, and like that was something they had to hold back on. But they combine it, and so Wallace starts becoming a rabbit, and then one of the rabbits sort of becomes Wallace, but doesn't transform, which I was like, come on. Like a guy can turn into a rabbit, but a rabbit can't turn into a guy? What the fuck is this? So Gromit has to find a way to stop this from happening also, so Wallace could impress the rich lady that he is in love with. This film was sort of a culmination of a lot of things. I remember when it came out. Actually didn't see it when it came out. I have no clue why. I don't know what was wrong with me. It's my fault there. But I did see it later and enjoyed it. But it did feel like this big culmination for Aardman and everything. It felt like Dreamworks, which I give Dreamworks a lot of credit, and Jeffrey Katzenberg actually, for launching his animation studio with a 2D division, a CG division, and a stop motion division, which I don't think any studio has. It was like the new first big major studio in a long time. But the idea that he's launching with all three, which I think like even by the point he launched all three, Disney didn't even have a stop motion division. Although this year they did, interestingly enough. This was like a big stop motion animation feature year between this and The Corpse Bride, both starring Helena Bonham Carter. This would win the Oscar. DreamWorks gave them a lot of grief, actually, and it's actually sort of what turned them off from doing anything with Wallace and Gromit and doing another movie for a long time, because Jeffrey Katzenberg and them gave them so many notes. And as ambitious as Katzenberg and DreamWorks were to launch with so many different forms of animation, when they're launching a studio and working with Aardman and stuff, it seems like they really sort of messed with this, or tried to mess with it as much as possible. It made it very not a fun experience. And even though this financially, like from all numbers you can find, did well, they claimed it actually didn't do well during their Hollywood accounting and all this stuff. It's not like Aardman was sort of done with these guys. I don't feel that in the movie, believe it or not. Reading all the behind the scenes stuff after, I was like kind of surprised and disappointed. I think this very much feels like the spirit of Wallace and Gromit, but in a new setting. It's very camp. I think the two celebrity voices, which is Ray Fiennes and Helena Bonham Carter, very much get that this is silly. They're doing the kind of campy kind of performances that you need for this. They sort of like don't do what happened with the cliche when they had someone new in there. Like she's playing more naturally. They're like Ray Fiennes is camping it up. Helena Bonham Carter's camping it up, but they're doing it like correctly for an animation thing, which I think is like a very hard tone. You can really like go off and be like, oh crap, you went to camp. I don't know if you're ever coming back there. But like in this, they definitely, I mean, they're both like great actors and all that stuff, and they obviously were controlling their kind of portrayals there. They're very smart about it. I actually thought they worked very well. It almost didn't feel like I kind of would forget that that's Ray Fiennes and Helena Bonham Carter in this. Like, I thought they were so natural within it, which was actually kind of perfect for a film like this. It is super English. I think like town competitions and town festivals are very much a thing in England. So it actually felt very natural. It felt like perfect. It felt like a small kind of English Wallace and Gromit story, even though it was a lot bigger. Obviously, it's still a small town and there's still stuff going on. And also like the end chase has so many puns, and so I actually want to rewatch just the chase sequences because there's so many like and then this happened, and then this happened, and this, and like this because of this, and this because of that, and like this pun and that pun, and like they do a lot of that throughout, but like their end chase sequences, like regardless of which one you think is the best or anything, like the end chase sequences, starting with the Ron Troutman to a Close Shave to Were Rabbit, are all phenomenal and are so well plotted out and so well thought out. It's just a dream to just watch them if you love cinema. Just like I absolutely like them in Wallace and Gromit and Mad Max to me, and I'm not being silly or something, are like on par with each other because there's like so much going on. It's so clear visually. It's so exciting to watch. There's so much fun there. If I watch it again, I notice new things. It's like a visually impressive, technically impressive, and like some of the greatest things these mediums have ever achieved. And I think in stop motion, like the chase sequences really show that off. And I know like it's lame to just talk about like how great an action sequences, and that shows what a director can go. But what Nick Park can do, he directed this with Steve Box, but like what Nick Park can do in the chase sequences is really absolutely amazing. Like I don't think Fast and Furious, and I'm actually serious about this, I don't think Fast and Furious has ever made a sequence, a chase and amazing set piece as good as any of the Wallace and Gromit things I've seen to this point, because the ones after this I haven't seen yet. But it just absolutely, like I was like, the rest of the most of it, like I was into it, I liked it. I didn't love it as much as the previous shorts or anything, but I still really liked watching the movie. But that end scene, I was just like, wow, like just absolutely loved it every time. Like even Close Shave, it's like you might feel, oh, it's a little more Hollywood and stuff, but it's still like phenomenally impressive. Like I don't know, if you're doing a chase sequence, you should probably have Nick Park like come in and storyboard it or something. I don't know why they never do that. I mean, I think that's probably why it won Best Animated Feature, because you kind of can't. I mean, this is like very Oscar nominated franchise, like everything at this point has been nominated, and this won Best Animated Feature. It's their only Best Animated Feature, which no one was surprised by because two of the shorts at once. It's like the third Wallace and Gromit victory in a row. But it. Wow, and I like Peter Sallis as Wallace in this. Gromit's really the star of this whole movie. Like, I kind of like when they talk less in these, but I thought he was just really great. They use all the iconography from the shorts, so it shows you like it's really interesting how successful the shorts were in a time where like shorts were not that successful, and you can use the iconography from theatrical shorts. And this is just shocking, but like they do, and it's like you see the little light up things that like bring Wallace down and put his clothes on and everything. You have to have that and stuff like that. But it and I like the whole vegetable thing because doing horror for kids is difficult, and I think in the 90s you could sort of, I mean, not like you're not letting them actually watch a horror movie, but it would get a little closer to scary. But this is like the rabbits eating vegetables. Like, you can be horrific and silly, and it can be a parody of horror, but also like doing horror stuff and referencing horror, but not like going too far for the kiddos. It was like the perfect actually balance. I can see why Dreamworks at the time had a problem with that, because they would always like do too many fart jokes and too many references for grown-ups and stuff. And like Nick Park is like and Aardman is very smart and finessed about doing that. I think this is a really good feature film, and I think it was really smart about what it's doing. And the animation is absolutely like Wallace turning into the Were-Rabbit is insane. Stop motion animation, like some of the stuff they do is just visually, I know they have like simple designs and stuff, but like when you really think about it, the logistics of it and putting it together, it's like just the technical impressiveness of it is fairly unmatched. What they're doing in this, I really love their animations. What works about these two is like Gromit is always the straight man, and it works that the straight man is a silent dog. And I think like it works even better when you have people going crazy into Campland. You have people, Ray Fiennes and Helena Bonham Carter and all this stuff, and like who is playing off them is a silent claymation dog. And I think also, like, much like how I love the Shaun the Sheep franchise for the same reason, it's all like silent comedy, but like it works. It's smart. One of the smart things about casting in any movie, and they do this actually in this, which is smart, is having different acting styles. So like one person will be, you know, more method or older, and they might represent one thing and stuff. But Gromit being basically like, you know, a silent film actor versus everyone else who's being like, you know, English and silly and stuff, works so well. It's so fucking smart. It's just like it accentuates how smart Gromit is as a character. I've noticed in so many reviews of this, people talk about how great Gromit is, and like you have, you know, 2 Oscar-nominated actors who like do all this Kenneth Branagh stuff and like Schindler's List, and like Gromit's still in the show, but Gromit is great in this, and it shows you how good Aardman is with acting through their animation. I think is just astounding. I do quite like this. I don't know if I like it as much as the shorts, but I was kind of like so taken by it. I'm sort of like, it's pretty much on par. I would say it's on par. I think it's like one of those times you watch something, you're like, I mean, this is just like a good solid entry. And Wallace and Gromit is like a very solid franchise. It's actually a lot of fun rewatching all these, because I was like reminded like how much I like these characters and how wonderful and how a great part of cinema these two are. But I think like making this like movie, you know, it's not as good as Chicken Run. I think Chicken Run is better at being style like 17 with chickens. This is not really The Fly. It's not really a werewolf thing. It's just a Wallace and Gromit movie. But the difference between Chicken Run and this is like Wallace and Gromit was an established brand. Chicken Run, like, they're just like these chickens. I don't know. They just wasn't the same thing. So I think this, like, they had to do certain things. They didn't want to abandon it, and they really don't. It feels very much like what a Wallace and Gromit movie should be. It feels, you know, more like the Close Shave. I would have liked to run Troutman, but maybe the new one is because it's got that chicken in it and stuff. But I found this to be fun. I think it's probably, if you want to get your little kids into horror, this is probably a better intro because it doesn't feel that scary to me. I'm probably going to watch it with my kids at some point. I really had a good time with it. And that chase sequence is just, they're always so good at that. Just really one of the top chase sequences of all time with some of these Wallace and Gromit. And I love all the cheese jokes. I love the carrot stuff. Just a little wackier. It's a little weirder. You know, it's a lot longer, but I think it culminates into something that says a lot about Aardman as a studio and what they can really achieve with Wallace and Gromit, particularly Nick Park, and how much of a world-class animator and director he really is. Especially when you consider he did that with 3 shorts and then a feature film, and this is 10 years after A Close Shave. It's, man, just sometimes when I'm watching these, I'm like, the achievement that he's able to keep this quality up is pretty unmatched, at least at this point. We'll see when I get to the other ones, but this is a really fine, I would say a fine motion picture, definitely one of Aardman's better ones. Maybe not the best. I think Chicken Run stands on its own, but still just like a really fine motion picture. What they did there, I'm glad DreamWorks didn't ruin it. So if you have seen Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.